All right, it is the most wonderful time of the year.
Is it now?
Well, I think. Well, Christmas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts in November. Okay, let's just be honest about that. Life is too short to have this argument anymore. Like Christmas can begin whenever it wants. But I was actually thinking about the fact that I love when football and basketball seasons overlap from each other. Does it take over your whole Saturday life?
Oh,
Friday?
I did watch 2 games last Saturday, the basketball game and then the football game.
Yeah. And it's like all 4 screens. Did you have that on your TV? Welcome to Revival, a Good News Brand podcast.
I'm Stephan Taeger.
And I'm Dave Butler.
Here we focus on the good news.
3 headlines each about the thrill of being a person of faith.
We are so glad you're here.
Yeehaw. We have broken all rules. Jenny and I bought an event TV. We had an event TV because we didn't want a TV in our family room.
Oh, I see.
So we had an event TV and we would bring it up for World Series, for the Olympics, for the NBA, for big games or whatever, plug it in. And then I caved and hung a TV and I was like, you guys, let's only watch this on special occasion. And now my children have just convinced me that every day is special. So,
okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
About BYU football?
Oh, sure.
We have to be really quick.
Okay.
Because there might be fans of other sports or non-sports fans who listen to this.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think it is about Kalani that makes him so enduring? Why does every human on the planet love Kalani Sitake?
I think it's because he embodies everything good about the Polynesian culture. I'm not implying there's bad things, by the way, and say that. I'm just saying, every Polynesian person I've met has made room at the table for me and felt like there are things in life that mattered more than others. Something about that culture that's so rich and so good and so warm. And he's also he's really good at what he does. So there's just a combination of, what do you call it? Competency and compassion in him. And that's why.
Man, those are 2 good words to put next to each other.
Yeah.
Compassion and competency.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
But I'm a Longhorns fan. Okay. All right. Today, you guys, we're taking, and the Texas Longhorns are actually the sponsor of this podcast this week. Just so you know, none of these sponsors are ever real. We wish they would spend and send us real dollars. They don't ever. But go hook them.
Have you ever seen a Longhorns game?
Yes. Okay. I'm from Texas. What? You're out of your mind. Even my guide in Israel loves the Longhorns because of me. And we'll text over WhatsApp about because he watches them at 2 a.m. or whatever. He's a Longhorns fan.
I can't remember. Where did their head coach go to school?
Get out of my life. Okay. We are doing Elder Christofferson's talk today, Look to God and Live, picking 3 headlines from this one. President, he's been promoted. But at the time.
He is a member of the First Presidency.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ready?
I am. Okay, this is number 3. Look to him. Her words echo the counsel of Alma to his son Helaman. See that you look to God and live. After President Christofferson talks about this really, really tragic story that happened to some Latter-day Saints in Africa, I think they're on a young women's trip, right?
Yeah, it was terrible.
They get into an accident and quite a few of them pass away. That's how he sets up his talk. And then he teaches this very simple truth. And he's drawing on the teachings of the members who were there. This really simple truth that I don't know why, but carries with it a lot of profundity. This phrase, look to him. And if you just take that literally, I literally look at something. But every human sort of intuitively knows what that's suggesting. It means to focus on, to trust, to align to start to see the world through that lens, and to look to him. So if someone were to ask me, okay, if I were to go home today from 3 into 4 and I wanted to look to him.
Go home, what did you say, 3 and 4?
From today to 3 to 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay. It's the new 6-7. I was like, what are you saying?
and you were to look to him, those are the kinds of things you would do. You would have a prayer in your heart. You would try to act in a way that reflected his teachings. And I think maybe most fundamentally, or one of the most fundamental things you would do, is to have a certain faith and hope that things are going to be set right in the end, that everything will be made okay in the end.
Yeah. And I think that's actually really important with this particular talk, in that I try not to read the scriptures, and I've gotten better at this over time, in a really black and white way, where it's like, okay, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy, because I don't think there's any such thing as that. But it's still like embedded in my mind that every time I read this story of that look and live is coming from Moses' story with the brass serpent, right? And they've all been bit by these snakes, poisonous snakes. And Moses puts a snake up on a stick and says, look to this and you'll live. And we read that, and we talk about that story in primary and Sunday school or whatever. And we say, those people are so dumb, for real. You're like, what? Just look. Like, why are you so, like, it's not that hard, is what I want to say. But then I started thinking, as I read this, and just some of my, life stories recently have got me thinking about this, that, when something like this happens, it's really easy to now become really confused about the character and nature of God, and to question, is he actually good? And can I really trust him? And there's just a lot that your heart goes through. For the survivors, for the families of those who died so tragically, that you're just like, all of a sudden I started to, maybe it's not the same as what was happening in that scripture, but I started to sympathize and empathize with somebody who has a hard time looking, because they're like, I just don't know. I thought I was before, and look what happened. And does it not work? Does it? And there's something really, I think the adversary is working overtime in getting people to distrust God. And that is a reason that they wouldn't look at him, as they would say, I don't think it's going to make any difference, so I'm not going to do it, and turn them from the only, because it is a little mysterious that it works, that you can, like, turn to this somewhat invisible being and start to trust and believe in hope in something you don't have any proof of. And then things really do, like, start to change. Like, I can't remember if I highlighted this as one of mine or not, but he defines prospering.
Yeah.
In here.
I've got that here too. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Is that one of your ones?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Well, let me do this one. That was going to be my number one, but I want to do it right now because it's kind of part of this. He's quoting scripture here, and this line meant a lot to me, and I think would be really hopeful for somebody who says, like, I don't know if I can do it. I can't let, I don't want my heart to be let down again. And he quotes this scripture. It says, begin to believe in the Son of God, that he will come to redeem his people, and that he will suffer and die to atone for their sins, and shall rise again from the dead. And I think there's something about who it is that we're looking to. Two parts to that. One, that begin to believe. Just start to believe. Choose to believe. And believe these things about him, that he came to this world to redeem his people. These are lines that are reminding you why you can trust him, and that he'll suffer and die for their sins, and that he'll rise again from the dead, that he has the power to change any circumstance that you may be in. I just think that there's something really powerful about beginning to believe, let your heart begin to believe, but particularly to believe those things, that you can trust that he's good, and that you can hope in the situation changing for good.
Yeah, I think for anyone who is struggling with that, and you can see why a lot of people would, it can be so helpful to study the ultimate revelation of God's character, which is Jesus, and particularly to study the cross. So often people study the cross and Gethsemane doctrinally rather than from the heart. And what if someone sat down and said, okay, I'm going to read Luke 23 and Luke 24, and I'm going to look for the heart and character of God in this story, not, how, if there's imputed righteousness, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
And all that's important, and that's fine. But to first and foremost, look for how God is revealed in this act. And that is the thing that generates faith to look, to trust.
Yeah.
Okay. Great job.
Thanks.
All right. Here's my number 2.
And I want to say this about it. I know.
Please.
It is interesting that it was a snake in the story that he put up on the pole.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why? No, I'm not looking at the thing that caused all the pain,
Right.
And I don't know if this is intended in that scripture story, but there is a reality to that is why some people who've been hurt in this life have a hard time looking, because they say, I'm having a hard time not blaming him. So I have a hard time trusting somebody who I'm actually kind of blaming at the same time.
Right. Can I give a tough truth about blame?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And again, I don't know the scriptures.
Sure.
I know that's a stretch. What's happening in the,
Yeah. I don't know why it was a serpent. I haven't read too much on that. But I do, based on Terry Warner's work, it seems like one of the quickest ways to get rid of accusation and blame is to really be honest about the fact that that's what we're doing. And it's hard. Because...
What do you mean? Be honest about the fact that I am accusing and blaming?
Yeah. It's really difficult to do that because the nature of accusation itself places responsibility away from oneself. And so accusation is a particularly difficult emotion to work through because it carries with it a built-in justification. And so, I don't want to speak for anyone. I don't want to call anyone out, but at least for me, and it seems like there's good reason to think this, that if I'm in an accusatory mode towards God or towards others, I got to own that that's what I'm doing. And with God, I say, your ways are higher and I trust you. And then with humans, this is a particularly tough truth, but when you're accusing, we're actually mistreating. And so here's the other part that's really difficult is when we blame, we are putting the responsibility on someone else and we're hiding the responsibility on how we're actually mistreating other people as well. And so that can be reviving. It can be, good news because it gives us a key.
The key to get out of
that
it.
Emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say anything about that?
No, I'm processing and I'm finding times when it's been true for me,
Yeah. I don't think that there are humans that are more refreshing to be around than those who refrain from blame and accusation. We talked, was this the episode we talked about Kalani?
At the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think so.
It's only been 14 minutes or something.
And was it? I think so.
Yes.
like that's the kind of personality where they just don't seem like they're constantly accusing, blaming, negative towards other people.
Yeah.
You're kind of like that too, Dave.
Oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, I can't now. I've lost what I was. Anyways, that's like we just had therapy. Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here's my
number two.
All right. Here's the good news. The world has its definition of successful and prospering, but President.
This is where I was going to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
President Christofferson is going to tell us what it means to actually promise. Because one of the most common things that says in the Book of Mormon is if you're obedient, you keep the commandments, you'll prosper in the land.
Yeah.
And particularly in our time, people get really nervous about that because they say, prosperity gospel. Latter-day Saints must believe that if you're obedient to God, then he'll give you lots of money. And it's much more nuanced than that. Here's what the
You
President
think people are
Christofferson
nervous about it? I think people get excited about it. Because they're thinking it means that.
Okay, are you ready? He says, prosper meant enjoying the guidance and blessings of heaven in their lives. Prosper meant achieving levels of economic well-being that enabled them to marry, raise families, and minister to the needs of others. So that's how it defines
The economic part. Yeah.
Prospering included the capacity to rise above hardship and trial through the grace of Christ. All things work together for their good.
Yeah, that's the part I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
That feels like it comes as a gift.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Just briefly on the economic well-being part, I'm not offended by a God who tries to help his children flourish in creation. I don't believe in a God who says, I'll give you money if you're obedient. That is way too simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think God will flourish creation, and even if that means we don't have great wealth, but we'll notice his blessings, not just in some abstract spiritual realm that we never can experience, but in this earth, he blesses us in concrete ways that allow us to take care of our families and serve other people.
I'm glad you spoke about that middle one because I was actually drawn to the first one and the really.
Yeah.
I was like, those definitions of prosper, but you do see an economic prospering in scripture sometimes. So it's nice to see, okay, this is what, there's some prophetic commentary on that there, but that third one is particularly, so meaningful that it just is. I'm coming back to that. It's mysterious the way that a person can overcome something so terrible and so tragic. Like the way a heart can be healed it's as astonishing as the resurrection to me. For him to, that didn't sound, yeah. For him to come back alive, that was terrible. For him to come back alive is, it's like shocking and it's astonishing. And I think that same thing happens with people. Some of the ways that God has healed the hearts of people, and some of the ways that God has helped somebody forgive and for relationships to be mended it's astonishing. It's like, I did not think. I thought that was over and done. And now it's back alive again. And I don't know, his connection to that was the commandments are now a channel of grace. Right? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Where it's like, now it's like, okay, I can talk about commandments in a way where it says they're misery prevention. But now I can also speak about the commandments in a way of saying, in some way that we can connect, we can kind of trace back cause and effects. But I think in ways we cannot, they become channels of grace, that our active obedience, which is actually an act of surrender and loyalty and faith, open the door to astonishing grace in ways that we can't trace and see how.
Yeah, I actually really like that you pointed to the resurrection, because that's what the fullness of resurrection is about. It's not just about bodies that come back alive.
Right.
It's about giving life to people.
Yeah.
And what good would it be if we had our bodies and spirits back together, but our hearts are dead? Mm-hmm. They're full of anger and hate. Mm-hmm. And so resurrection in its fullness is about spiritual, emotional, physical wholeness. Mm. That's what Jesus brings.
Mm. Okay, here's my number 2. It's one of the girls from the accident who said, it's talking about getting guidance, comfort, help from the scriptures. And then she said this. She says, it's like the scripture authors are saying, you have to learn these words because they are written for you to help you pass through this. And I just loved, I think President Nelson and others talked about the temple as being this compensatory blessing, compensation for how hard this world is. And I want to put scriptures underneath that too. And it's so easy to fall into scriptures as a habit. and to call that, you're just supposed to do this, and you're supposed to pray, and you're supposed to, but instead to see them as like these are the gifts. Like sometimes in my mind, I think it would be funny to say, to God someday, or St. Peter, who's ever at the gates of heaven, like, I should get in. How come? I read my scriptures, or it's like, I said my prayers, as if those are the things that make a person like a good person. And then just hearing the response back was like, those were gifts. Like those were actually to help you pass through this. And there's something really awesome to me about this girl connecting it and saying it as almost as if the writers of scripture, now we're connected to them, where they are like, we're just as interested in you getting through this as God is. We're here to help each other. Ancient friends and modern friends that are like, wait, God gave us both of them to help us get through this.
Yeah. And just to be really practical for a second, one way to do that is to ask myself, what is it that I'm going through, and what scripture stories have a similar type trial, and then read that with a new lens and let scripture dictate the kind of world and practices and beliefs and things you're going to do in response to this,
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an interesting exercise to say, okay, who else went through something like this, and what did they do?
Yeah.
Like, I have no doubt in my mind, when we take scripture that seriously, the words speak more than what's written on the page. In the words of President Oakes, scripture becomes a Urim and Thummim, and it starts to say more than just what it was even intended by the author. It opens up channels of grace. Okay.
Was that my two?
I think so.
Okay, here's your number one.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Here's my number one. Looking to God means that he is not just one of our priorities. It means rather that he is our one highest priority. Sometimes people of faith, and we all fall into this trap, we sort of add religion to many other aspects of our life. I like this, I'm from here, this is what I do for work. But the claim of Christianity is way more interesting than that. It's basically, that story in Luke where Jesus says, Martha, you're worried about many things, but one thing is needful. I think some people might be worried that if I say, okay, I'm going to make God and his son the center of all I do, that means every aspect of my life has to be sort of serious, religious, like walking around like I'm in church.
With a tie.
With a tie on, right? But no, like we've been talking about, Jesus brings resurrection. He brings life to everything that we center him on. And so if it's now all of a sudden my work life, whatever it is to help him flourish, help other people flourish in creation, right? These are all opportunities to see his goodness in them and respond to that,
Yeah, it's like a lens and an energy.
Right.
A way to see life, and like a power that flows into life also. Okay, then my number 3 is, again, from those girls. I love those girls. From the, the things that they learn. It just gives me a lot of hope to see the way somebody can look at something so tragic, because I also think it's important that we haven't said this, that Elder Christofferson talks about what we talked about at the beginning, where he just said there was anger and there was depression and there was guilt, like that life, that we all experience all of these things, disappointments and danger and all the above. This line, though, she says, one of the survivors says, Jesus Christ loves us and is with us, even though our hearts hurt. I appreciate the richness of that kind of belief, that he weeps with us and is with us through it. And it still was hurtful and it still hasn't healed yet. And I like that both of those can be true at the same time. That despite whatever like complicated feelings and emotions I have, Jesus is with us through every single one of those. He's with us and our hearts still hurt. He's with us, and I'm still having a hard time believing. He's with us, and I'm having difficulty looking to him right now. And that would be one other reason that I would say, oh, my heart is inclined to look to him. Because he's like, let me give you space for hurt, for anger, for depression, for guilt in this. I think that's again why the adversaries, it's the very, very beginning where he gets Adam and Eve to run and to hide from God. Whatever he told them that made them think that they wanted to run and hide, he still is whispering a version of that lie to everybody. The one who can heal you and the one who can turn this for good, he's going to find every reason to get us to turn away from him.
Yeah, it's so funny that all of us fall for this over and over and over again, but we think that we should hide all of that pain and sorrow and suffering from God as if he doesn't know it, as if he didn't come into our world and experience it firsthand. And so belief in a life of faith does not eliminate difficult feelings. Rather, it teaches us how to relate to them in a way that is hopeful and still allows us to love, even amongst the difficult experiences we have.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right. That's Revival. See you next week. Man, I hope you feel thrilled and revived with the good news and the thrill of faith. If you want to find more, go to goodnewsbrandco.com. You can check out our Instagram, Good News Brand Co. We also have an app where we include all the podcasts and all the freebies and all the gives there. Just trying to fill your life with some good news. We'll see you next week.